Peace, folks. It's your Frank Minute. All right, quickly. Every Thursday, I do a call called Black Men Creating a Loving Culture in Our Relationships. And on that call, it's a Zoom call. We do just that. We support each other in creating a loving culture in our relationships. It's every Thursday, 7 to 8:30 p.m. You can connect to the call at franksweeklycall.com. That's franksweeklycall.com. The other piece is, if you want to follow me, see what I'm up to, check out my blog each week. Get the blog sent to you each week. You could do so by checking me out at franklove.com. All right. Anyway, we previously discussed how some of us use the tag abusive when discussing our previous partners or maybe our current partners as a way to kind of dust our hands off of the situation, to say that situation was untenable, wasn't no way that was going to work, it was abusive. It could be we were abusive, they were abusive, we were abusive to each other. It could be any of that. And so that we talked about that in my previous post. Now, speaking about that a little further, years ago, I interviewed an attorney by the name of Lee Goodmark. She took the position that people who are in abusive relationships, and she used that term, abusive relationships, people who are in abusive relationships often or sometimes don't want to leave their partners. And that's okay. They don't have to be forced out of that relationship. Their partner doesn't have to be locked up in order to force them out of the relationship. They don't have to be forcibly separated for an extended period of time. It doesn't have to happen that way. People who want to stay in their relationship, though it's not what most of us would consider healthy, and we're probably talking about where people are beating on each other or those kind of things, but we'll get further into there. People who are in the middle of an unhealthy culture in their relationship, as let's say most would define it, don't have to be like completely separated from each other. And to impose that on them is not fair, because it takes the power away from the people. Those people in the relationship, they're being stripped of their power to make a decision on who they want to be with. Now, I've known people over the years, and I know good people who have, and I'm talking about both sexes, who have hit their partners. I've known people in relationships who have spit on their partners. You name it. There's all kinds of things that happen in relationships. But get this, I've also known those people I'm speaking of, and not everybody, they still together. Many of them are still together, and they are happier now than they've ever been. They are glad that they remained in the relationship and worked on whatever it is they needed to work on or work out. All of that to say, you could be hopeful. We get to be hopeful that there is a solution to whatever is plaguing our relationship. In fact, I happen to believe that no matter what the problem is that's in my relationship, the solution is right around the corner if I'm willing to do the work to find it. That could be a counselor. It could be a book. It could be all kinds of stuff. It could be it could be a friend. But the solution is out there, and that takes me back to my conversation with Lee Goodmark when I interviewed her. She said those two individuals who are in that relationship that's troubled as described, they should be able to get help. They should be able to reach out to someone who's skilled in mediating and supporting couples or individuals who are plagued with those challenges. Now, most relationships struggle, and believe it or not, I get flack for this, but most relationships have some level of abuse in them. And there's different levels of the abuse. It could be hitting each other. It could be rolling your eyes, sucking your teeth, gossiping, talking about your partner. All of that can be considered abusive, depending on what hat you wear. In fact, Dr. Harville Hendricks says that criticism is a form of silent abuse. I think that's it, silent abuse. And that's interesting because it does, when you think about it, many of us, when we're criticized, we feel attacked. And many of us, when we criticize, we are attacking. So there's something to that. There's something deep to that. Anyway, the individuals who are in relationships, you got people who are in relationships for 5 years, and you got people who are in relationships for 50 years. And I'm pretty sure that one of the primary differentiating elements in those relationships is the ones who's in it for 50 years decided to stay. I'm sure there was doo-doo that occurred along the way, and I'm sure there were things that happened that were abusive or could be considered abusive. I'm sure of it for most of those relationships, but they stayed. How'd they do it? They dug in. They figured it out. They worked on it. I'm pretty sure. Now, I'm not in their relationships, but that's my inkling, and that's my 2 cents. Anyway, once again, check us out every Thursday. Frank's Weekly Call. That's the Zoom call for black men. In fact, sisters can join the call, but we ask you to what we call sit on the sidelines. So in sitting on the sidelines, you get to listen to what's being said. And at some point in the call, we generally ask the sisters what their thoughts are on whatever's being talked about or what's been shared. And you can again check my podcast out. I mean my blog out at franklove.com. It's your Frank Minute. Take care.